Hey there, everybody. It's Dave here from Vikings First and SKOL. And it's Wednesday, which means it's time for the NFC North roundup. In a land where the gridiron roars neath the Midwest skies and the stadium scores, comes a tale of the NFC North's wild fray, where roasters are carved on yesterday's countdown day. Who will be king? The cry rings out bold on Fans First Sports, where stories are told. Pay from Chicago with a Bears fervent plea. Foster with the Lions pride running free. And me, Dave, from the Vikes with SKOL in my heart. Break down the chaos where dreams are made or torn apart. Cuts, trades, and waivers, the 53's tight. Injuries loom in the cold northern night. From Caleb's young spark to the Packers' green youth, the North's fierce saga seeks glory and truth. Let the battles begin. Gentlemen, we've had a little bit of roster drama this week. But first, how are things in Chicago, Pay?
What's up, fellas? 12 days, Dave. 12 days. 12
and
days
still
to
the
kick
Bears
off.
go 0-1.
Feel it.
Foster, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm glad that preseason is over with. That is now behind us.
Yes, it is. Very much so. Now, let's start to talk about the roster drama and the 53-man cut down. What did you guys expect from your teams when they did that? Hey, were there any surprises for you?
As far as for cut day, Dave, surprises? No. Not a one. I am not surprised in any decision that was made. I am extremely. I want to pat myself on the back because I just know this team. I know when I can see the screw up a mile away. I've gotten that good at reading our general manager and knowing that, you know what, that pick right there is going to be a future cut. Should not have done that. That was a wasted pick, and we've done it again. We've done it again. We have wasted yet another third-round pick. Dave, do you like third-round picks?
Wow.
Generally, your third rounds are considered, they should start within their first contract, yes.
What about you, Foster? Could you use a couple of third-round picks?
I could.
See, and that's why both your teams were in the playoffs last year, because the Bears obviously have no need for third-round picks.
Which one are you referring to?
Well, most recently it was Mr. Pickens that was released on cut day, third-round pick. And this just goes down. It's just more par for the course for under the Ryan Poles era with the Chicago Bears. There was Velus Jones, 3rd-round pick, wasted pick. I don't even think he's in the league anymore. And that was just 3 years ago he was drafted. You got, like I said, Pickens. Kyron Amagaji. I'm not shocked that he made the squad. You know, you need all the big bodies you can hand. Balls. You need all the big boys on the roster that's necessary. However, what has he shown in the year going into his 2nd year that he's going to be long for this league? Not a damn thing yet. He was drafted as a project in the 3rd round. A project in the 3rd round. That's what our general manager does. He drafts projects in the 3rd round. And Mr. Yale man, Kyron Amagaji, he looks even worse now than he did when he made his debut last season against the Minnesota Vikings. How can that be? He gave up like 8 sacks in that game, and now they're thinking about demoting him to guard. Now he's getting demoted to guard. That's how bad he is right now. But anyway, other than that, it's a great day in Chicago. 12 days to football.
Oh, yes. What groups are you thin at?
So the 53-man was curious, if that's a word we want to use today. They decided to keep 10 bodies for both linemen's groups. Offensive linemen has 10 bodies. Defensive linemen have 10 bodies. That's not a bad thing, on its face, right? Especially if you put it up against how the 53-man looked coming out of camp last year. We had so many running backs. I think we broke camp with 7 of them. There's 3 this year. So to answer the question, I think we might be a little bit thin in that running back room. 3 running backs. And your lead running back is DeAndre Swift. And there's questions about Roshan, whether or not he has the body for this league, because he's hurt again. And this is going into his 3rd season. He's hurt yet again, right? Then it's Cal Monungai as a 3rd guy. It's a 7th-round pick, even though he had a very good camp, really good preseason. 7th-round pick, Dave. 7th-round picks don't usually break camp in your position groups. They're usually, if they do make the team, they're probably special teamers. But he's going to get some work. So this all leads me to believe that DeAndre Swift's going to be a workhorse. To cut that off there, Foster. You know, I don't want we play in a fantasy league together. I don't want him getting that type of intel. For the Bears to have 3 running backs in this division, it's a bit concerning. Now, there is still Travis Homer, he does play running back, and he's mostly used as a special teamer. He's on IR. I do expect him to be on the roster at some point. However, I'm a little concerned about only having 3 running backs, because it only takes just one good hit on DeAndre Swift, and then boop, we have an issue on offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be. Now, we had cut an edge that surprised everybody, and that was Gabriel Murphy. And in the preseason game 3, he had 5 QB pressures, sack and a half. He was disruptive all over the place, and the Vikings cut him. He was a UDFA from last year. I could have sworn with some edge-deficient teams in this league, he was going to get snagged up, including 2 teams within this division. Brian Poles didn't think so. Obviously. He didn't snag him.
Well, yeah, 10. You got 10 down linemen already. I'm surprised he cleared waivers already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and he signed back onto the Vikings practice squad.
Mm. And
you figure we might go get him, or somebody from the division? You think we?
Green Bay. Mm-hmm.
There's
other teams
there's a thought.
across the league.
There's a thought in Chicago that we're not where we need to be as far as rushing the quarterback. We could definitely use some more help there, but I don't think they'll be, I guess, bargain shopping for that right now. I do think they want to at least see what they can get out of Montez Sweat. You assume he's healthy going into the season. You know, you're not going to have that injury excuse this year, right? You want to see what you want to get out of Montez Sweat on the opposite of Mr. Grady Jarrett, and hopefully Gervon Dexter makes that next step. I would assume that's where they're thinking about with that. And if they don't get enough pressure, then we do have the right defensive coordinator to get around that. Other than Brian Flores, Dennis Allen, he's going to bring that smoke from all over the field.
Okay. We're going to see. How many days?
12, Dave. 12.
Dozen.
12. That thing that's got Jay Cutler a little frustrated right now. 12.
Oh, we'll get to Jay Cutler a little bit later. Don't let me forget. It's too good of a story. Foster, how was your cut down? Was there any surprises? Any drama?
Well, it's interesting that Pay mentions third round picks. We had a pair of guys that were drafted in the third round a couple of years ago that kind of went into camp with their back against the wall and they had to perform. You talked about the development and how there was some regression. That is what we saw in Hendon Hooker, as well as, well, not regression as far as Broderick Martin, but regression certainly as far as Hendon Hooker is concerned. He can just consistent. One thing he was consistent in was struggling to move the ball when he was in, whether it was with the second team, third team, that, continued to be an issue all the way through. So those two were amongst the notable cuts that weren't super surprising. Broderick Martin had a pretty good camp. He had a lot of QB pressure or just pass rush wins throughout his, throughout the preseason, but they chose to go another route. And both those guys actually got picked up via the waiver wire. I think that the Lions, given the opportunity to bring them back, I think they could have possibly still been a part of the team, but Hendon Hooker will be headed to Carolina, and Broderick Martin will be headed to the Chiefs. And that'll be the second year in a row, I think, that they picked up somebody that we got rid of on the interior defensive line. Last year it was Isaiah Buggs. But as far as the other notable cuts, Dan Skipper, which was he's a kind of a fan favorite, 6'8" tackle. He will always, he's with us, but he will still probably go down in infamy for that the receiver when the Dallas Cowboy scandal where he became a receiver and that whole situation. Jackson Meeks was a receiver. Mm-hmm. Eligible, that's the word I'm looking for. Jackson Meeks was one of the surprising cuts. He was not amongst the top 6 receivers. We elected to go with Dominic Levitt, who I think he was drafted as opposed to Meeks being undrafted, and he's a little bit more useful in special teams. So I think that's what gave him the edge. Tristan Colon, mind you, Meeks will be coming back as a practice squad player. Tristan Colon, somebody we went out and got when our center retired. He will be coming back as a practice squad player, and Tom Kennedy as well he's been on a practice squad for the last 3 or 4 years, and he will be back with the practice squad again. One of the more controversial ones, Ahmed Hassanin, the one and only edge rusher that we drafted in the 5th round. He had the emotional, I will, die for this team and give me a chance. he ended up tearing his pectoral, and he received an injury settlement, so he was waived as well. So he will get compensated for the amount of time it takes for him to recover, and then he will be free to sign with any team. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as the notable moves. Everything else was pretty much, nothing too crazy.
Now I'm showing one of the weaknesses on your team. One of the positions is edge.
Yes, imagine that after all this, and
you've only got 3 on the roster.
So we now have 4 on the roster. Oh, we upgraded a little bit. So we going into today, we still have 50 people on our roster. We didn't have 53. So we would eventually trade away Tim Patrick, which brought us to fit. Does it keep us at 50? At any rate, we traded Tim Patrick, our number 3 receiver from last year, due to Isaac Tesla doing such an amazing job. He will now step in as an outside receiver. The big body, the jump balls, the stretching the field. He's going to fully take over that role from Tim Patrick. And we went out and signed 3 guys today, one of which was an edge rusher. So we now have 4 edge rushers. We went out and got, I think his name is Tyrus Wheat, who was an edge rusher for the Dallas Cowboys last year. And then we got Tyler Lacey, an additional interior defensive lineman, and then Daniel Thomas, a safety who is a special teams specialist. So we're at 53 now, and we now have 1 additional edge rusher.
Okay, so you have 4 or 3.5.
There you go. I was going to say, can you really count Marcus Davenport as a full individual? I mean, it's kind of, it's scary to think that we have our starter. We had our 2 starters on the edge, our 2 guys that had season ending serious injuries. I mean, Davenport missed the entire, Hutch got hurt after him, but they missed a significant amount of the year. So, it's wild to think we have Tyrus Wheat, whatever he brings to the table, and then we have Muhammad, and then we also have Josh Pasquale. He's on the non-football injury list as well. So technically we have 5, but only 4 of them are physically healthy right now.
Now I keep hearing for future trade rumors or signing rumors for your team, bringing back Zadarius Smith. Is there any smoke to that fire? The fire to that smoke?
It's something that's been talked about off and on. It's kind of mixed into the whole Detroit culture because the hottest female Detroit rapper has been his girlfriend since he moved to Detroit. So that's been intertwined into all of this, craziness. But
long live Cash.
Yes, Cash, dog. But right now we're at 53, so there would have to be some type of corresponding move, I believe. So I don't know. He still hasn't gone anywhere else. So that's the only thing that has me wondering what's going on. It'd be different if there was smoke elsewhere, but it seems that all of the talks have been him coming back to Detroit, and especially, of course, with us initially when we were at the 50-man roster and we had 3 healthy edge rushers, we're thinking foregone conclusion, it's got to be Zadarius Smith, but he is still not signed with us or anybody else.
Interesting. Now I want to skip forward to the Cheese Weasels and a trade rumor that's hot and heavy right now. And that happens to be the Packers trading for the Cowboys, with the Cowboys, for their defensive star who has yet to play a down in Dallas this season. What do you guys think?
How much help do they need? they just know they for to be cheeks. They gotta go get the Monstars, huh? Okay. All right, we see what you do. We see what you're doing, Wisconsin. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
But that is hot and heavy that Micah Parsons may be traded to Green Bay. I don't know how much it's going to cost. What stupid stuff Jerry Jones is, thinking by doing that. But I don't want to see him in the division.
There's a better chance of me getting an invite to the Swift Kelsey wedding than Jerry trading Micah Parsons.
Hey, and congratulations to those two. Hope
Yes.
they live long, happy marriage, have lots of kids and grandbabies. And we don't have to hear about it.
I hate that I got the notification on my ESPN fantasy. Like, was that really necessary for me? Like, anywho, has that ever been done before?
Drafting Travis Kelce, you might want to figure it out.
That might be important in some way.
This is this generation's royal wedding, Foster. You got to get with it.
It is. Now,
it's messed up.
The Packers got down to their 53. And I use Grok to do a lot of the research. It pulls off all the major sites and stuff like that. But what gets me is how Green Bay's local beat writers and press, and especially their fan sites, are so much slurping over how good they are. And I think it's crazy. Because we know, one, Jordan Love, the professional quarterback, he has ups and downs, and he's not consistent. But we'll see. Now, for the things that I wanted to have, what they did right and what they did wrong. What they did right, youth movement. They've been getting younger and younger and younger. Okay. Except for most teams that go far in the playoffs have some older players on their squads. But, hey, somebody doesn't like what I say about Green Bay. They have depth in key areas, like defensive line and wide receiver groups are stacked, even though they don't have a wide receiver one. Like Nazir Stackhouse and Matthew Golden, supposedly explosive. Let's see. Let's show it. Special team stability. That's important. Retaining Matt Olzrek and adding a reliable kickers avoids last year's inconsistency. Okay, good for them. Trade for Kennard, acquiring offensive lineman Darren Kennard from the Eagles for a 2027 pick, shoring up their line without major cost. Okay, we'll see. What went wrong? Linebacker thinness. Only 4 linebackers, risking exposure to injury, 1 hit away. Example, Quay Walker. Cutting Isaiah Simmons was a gamble. We'll see if it works. Injury hits. Key players like Marshawn Lloyd, Christian Watson, starting on the reserve lists, despite depth issues early. And then veteran losses. They lost experienced players like Mecole Hardman and Christian Wells. May hurt their special teams and in situational packages. They did get their 53 man. They got it down. I'm sure they're hired since their practice squad. But how do we feel about that team from Wisconsin and their roster troubles?
Could I feel any less? Is that possible? I don't know. I do agree with the sentiment, Dave, and this is probably because I'm a hater, but I do think they are overrated. They've been extremely overrated all off season. I don't think they're going to be a bad team whatsoever. I don't think they're going to be a 5-win Cleveland Browns situation going on. But for the amount of energy and pub that they give the Packers on these national shows and these publications that are hanging on by a thread, you would think that they are the 93 Cowboys. They are not. They are far from that. Well, maybe Jordan Love and Troy Aikman have about the same completion percentage, but that's about it. That's about it. I don't see the world beaters that they want us to believe the Packers are going to be. I just don't get it. Maybe again, this could be because my goggles are the furthest thing away from green and yellow, but you gotta convince me. And they can go a long way by beating the fur off of the Bears. Could happen. I doubt it, but we shall find out.
Yes, we shall. And we'll preview the games next week, which will be fun.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is the Micah Parsons rumor, and I hope it does not come to fruition. Or if it does, they give a Herschel Walker-style trade to the Cowboys, and that's supposedly, from what I'm hearing, what they're offering. And if they want to do that, yeah. It put the Vikings into a decade of probably our worst decade of misery. So they want to do it.
Then we got to deal with the Cowboys again. So
not as long as Jerry Jones is alive. And how much longer that's going to be, we don't know. Hopefully he lives a long and fruitful life. Now, for my purple. The biggest news came this morning, and I already did a show on it. Mr. Adam Thielen, this guy right here, is now back in purple, which we needed. Sorry to say, but we needed. It's with Jordan Addison serving his 3-game suspension, games 1, 2, and 3. Not that games 1 and 2 are such a big deal, but we want to start out right. It was going to need a better wide receiver 3, or in this case, wide receiver 2, to step up into the position. Now, Adam Thielen will, once Jordan Addison come back, will rotate down probably to wide receiver 3. I suspect he'll be ranked over Jalen Naylor, our present wide receiver 3, who we still don't know the status of, other than they made the team, but he supposedly has a jammed hand, and it's been in a cast, and nobody tells us what exactly happened to the hand, other than he went to see a second opinion, or getting a second opinion, which always sends red flags up to me. But it relieves some pressure off our rookies, Ty Felton and Miles Price, who is classified as a wide receiver, but he'll be a punt returner most likely, kick returner, and then Tim Jones. And so I'm happy that we traded for Adam Thielen. And it was basically when you all look at, combine the numbers, and it was multiple pick swaps, came down to we gave a 5th. But we kept all our picks, the quantity of picks for next year and the year after, which is we have 11 scheduled for right now for next year and 8 the year after, so we're sitting pretty good. Now, my fans will tell you that Kwesi can't draft, so if he can't draft, why are you complaining that we traded picks away? But we'll see. And I thought Biggs said, we've had the worst draft since 2022, and I'm going to have to do some research on that. How have your drafts gone since 2022? How many players have you lost there, Pay? How many have flushed out?
2022? The Bears haven't made the playoffs since 2020.
Yeah, but that's when Poles took over, and that's when Kwesi took over.
Oh, Poles is terrible at drafting. I can't. You give me how many draft picks has he had since 2022? Let's see. Caleb, I believe in Caleb. I think that was going to hit. Kyron Amagaj, we talked about him already. We talked about his misses, multiple misses in the third round. Javon Dexter, we book still out, and we still see what happens with him. Darnell Wright, we traded back to get Darnell Wright, and there was an all-pro sitting right there for us, and we let the Eagles get him, and now they have a Super Bowl ring. Thanks a lot. So, it's Dave. Do I have to continue? Because this is not therapeutic.
But this is something I want to research. How good? Because the draft is generally a crapshoot. You hope to be better at it and know the game a little bit better at selecting, but it can be a draft shoot.
It is a crapshoot. I mean, because you're rolling a dice at the end of the day, but there is a measure of homework that you have to put into it, right? And there are can't misses. We who are not in the business, we don't have all the details. We call out some of the can't misses. We see them, and then our teams they go another way, and we say, "How did you miss that?" Because this guy is a Hall of Famer. He's on a Hall of Fame track. You drafted a guy that is
a project.
A project. Yeah. So I mean, it's like that. It's crap. You say crapshoot. I say it is, and it is something that they should get right more than they get wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all hope that's the case, but it doesn't turn out that way. Now, what went right with the Vikes? We signed 7 undrafted free agents this season to the squad. Made the initial 53. 7. One of them was Max Brosmer, our QB3. And I've espoused last week how well he played the week before, and in preseason week 3, he was just balling. Should have had over 200 yards if it wasn't for a drop on a beautiful 4th and 4th play. We saw the Titans were in zero blitz. He did. He knew it was a go ball, and he layered it perfectly. 40-plus yards downfield, right over the shoulder into the hands of the wide receiver. And what's the number one job for a wide receiver?
Catch the ball.
Catch the ball. Oops.
Number two job is the style and profile.
Mm-hmm. And they dropped it. But he made the squad as the QB3. He's going to have a great, I think, career, at least as a backup. I love that we have him because we're going to train him. And eventually, hopefully in 4 years, after we're coming off our 4th consecutive Super Bowl, we'll trade him for picks. What? Foster got that. We went high on the numbers in the trenches as well, both on the defensive side and the offensive side. We kept 10 offensive linemen, which was a little surprising to me. I've thought 9 would have been the number, and we've gone with 8 before. But we stayed with 10, which is good. And last week, we picked up Carson Wentz as our backup quarterback after we traded Mr. Sam Howell to the Eagles. And we traded Mr. Sam Howell for a 5th, a conditional 5th, blah, 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 blah. And we basically gave that worth for Adam Thielen. So I'm not worried about that one little bit. Now, what went wrong? We traded Mekhi Blackmon, another draft pick of Kwesi that Biggs is a little bit upset about, that had a good rookie season, then tore his ACL, and has never fully come back. And it's more mental than physical. He has physically, but it's a mental deal. We traded him. We traded Harrison Phillips to the Jets earlier, and that freed up cap space. That cap space that it freed up, the good majority of it now goes to Adam Thielen. But we still come out on the plus side of that. So I'm not worried about that as well. And then, of course, we have Jordan Addison going to be suspended the first 3 weeks. And we have lack of proven depth in a few areas. Our weakest spots are wide receiver, which we quasi-addressed, we could still use another one. And corner. We only have, after the initial 53, 4 on the roster. We have, since signed Zamiah Vaughn, came back on the practice squad. But that's it. And everybody knows you can never have enough corners. I'm hoping our guys stay healthy and we don't have to find out if Beefalo prefers to use safeties in the slot or wherever, which he may have to. Or he may desire to, and that's why they only kept 4 and then grab one for the practice squad. But Big says you can't blame Kwesi for seeing his broken leg or Blackmon for the injuries, but there's other picks that are all busts. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, Biggs. Not at all. You'd hope they do better. But we're in a good spot. We are stacked across the board. We're a highly talented team. As you will find out this season. In the toughest division in all of football.
Definitely in this multiverse.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's take a little break. And we're back from that. Thank you for listening to our paid advertisers. They keep me in my whiskey. Today is another Irish. For some reason, I'm in that mood. Plus, I don't have it's time for Garrett's popcorn sounder. And for those that don't know, Garrett's popcorn is very, very good. One of the things in Chicago that is.
You're in a green mood, huh? You're feeling green, huh, there, Dave? You gotta watch out for
Packers green.
Yeah.
They can go. Now, we've talked about the rosters. Is there anybody that you picked up on your practice squad you want to talk about today?
I haven't heard back as far as what the Bears are going to do with, I'm going to ahead and say, fan favorite Ian Wheeler. There was thoughts that they would bring him back because he had a bit of a star turn last offseason when the Bears were on Hard Knocks. A good story. I can care less about the stories, but he tore his ACL last offseason. Ryan Poles decided to put him on the IR, which basically guaranteed him, a somewhat of a spot instead of outright cutting him, and brought him back to camp this year. He had a couple of good games in the preseason, but as we discussed earlier, the Bears only decided to keep 3 running backs. So there's a large thought that Ian Wheeler would probably be kept around on the practice squad for the same reason that I said, fan favorite. And Ryan Poles loves his good guy, fan favorite type of stuff, especially guys he's developed a relationship with. If you got a relationship with Ryan Poles, you got a job. He's going to find you some work somewhere. Chicago politics is strong with him. So that would be the one. I haven't heard anything yet on that situation. That would probably be the only thing that I expect to happen. Anything else outside of that was, we shall see.
Your list so far, official, is wide receiver Maurice Alexander, wide receiver Miles Boykin, running back Britton Brown, tight end Steven Carlson, defensive lineman Xavier Carlton, linebacker Power Eccles, long snapper Luke Elkin, defensive back Trey Flowers, defensive lineman Jonathan Ford, defensive back Mekhi Gardner, D-line Tano Capacian.
Mm.
D-line, Jamiri Chroma. Offensive lineman, Jordan McFadden. And wide receiver, J.P. Richards. And offensive lineman, Ricky Strongberg.
No Ian Wheeler.
Mm-mm.
That makes me happy.
Okay.
And I'm not a hater. I'm not a Grinch, anything like that. I love the Bears. I love the guys. It's just that we got to get away from, the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Ryan Poles, he had created this. He just kept doing this thing where he was bringing in guys that he knew from other situations. Eberflus, they had a relationship from Indianapolis. Ryan Bates, he kept trying to force that thing on us. Please stop it. Ian Wheeler, and the list goes on and on and on. And none of these guys are hitting. If you're telling me that there's actually a different voice in the room where people are telling Ryan Poles, hey, you know what? Let's go in a different direction. Let's do something different. Let's actually get guys on merit. I'm with that. Because what we was doing beforehand, it ain't working.
Who's your QB3? Am I reading this
Case
right?
Keenum.
That's right. Good for you, the old guy. Now, I'm seeing that your waiver claims were Jaylon Jones and linebacker DeMarco Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylon being a corner.
Yeah, the corner situation. So obviously, those in the know, Jalen Johnson, one of the best corners in the league. He didn't play. He missed all of preseason. He was dealing with an injury as they came into camp. Kyler Gordon, highest paid nickel cornerback ever, I think ever, or in the league, one of the two. He's been dealing with an injury the last 3 weeks. So I was looking forward to see how many DBs they kept on the roster, and that would tell you a lot about where they thought their injuries or thought their injury progression was going to be from those two guys. And it's right along the lines of where where you would hope to see a cornerback room. So I'm a little ambivalent for those two guys being ready for week 1, 12 days away. But you definitely do want to beef up that those practice squads just in case. You want to also have that plan B. So I'm happy about that.
Hey, it's the practice squad that makes up the opposition team that gets run against your ones. So
we need somebody for old dudes Rome to cook week in and week out. We definitely need that.
Speaking of which, I read an article on how he developed the ability to catch the football at the back of the end zone over the summer.
As a practice?
So it's good. Good for him. Now, Foster, your practice squad, we've already covered some of them. Who did we miss?
Oh, let's see who we missed. Miles Adams, Ronnie Bell, Keith Cooper, Eric Hallett, Zach Horton, Mason Miller, Michael Neese, Anthony Pittman, Jacob Sailors, Lauren Strickland, and Isaac Ukwu. So as I said earlier, most of these guys, we pretty much recovered back most of the people that were notable. Martin and Hooker will be moving on elsewhere, but most notable. But as far as importance wise, we're obviously kind of thin at edge rusher, so we got a couple guys back that represent that edge rusher position. Also safety, we only brought back. Well, we originally had 3, and then we brought back an additional one. So Lawrence Strickland is also a safety as well. So it's good to see he made it back. And Tom Kennedy, he's the guy that he's the equivalent in baseball to the 4A player. Amazing at the AAA level, amazing in practice, just not good enough to crack the opening day roster or the 26-man roster. So great practice player that should know the playbook front and back like the back of his hand. So he'll be back in the practice squad variety.
Okay, sounds good. Now for the Packers, they've picked up wide receiver Will Shepard, tackle Brent Banks, wide receiver Isaiah Nair. They've got their wide receiver room. It's going to be huge. Wide receiver McCole Hardman, which we talked about. Defensive tackle James Esther, safety Jalen Simpson, kicker Mark McNamee. Okay, International Pathways Program. And I'm sort of hoping that we pick up our punter that way. O-line Dalton Cooper, running back Israel Abendan Kenda, edge Deslin Alexandra.
These names are putting you to work today.
Yeah. DB Jonathan Baldwin, linebacker Jamin Johnson, edge Aaron Mosby, and linebacker Christian Wells. So, hey, good for them. They're practice squads for a reason, and we filled out our practice squad as well. Not that it's a real big deal. The only one I want to see is, did we get our Australian punter back? Hey, he was a better punter for punting the ball than Ryan Wright, who made the squad. But it turned out that game 3 of the preseason, he muffed a field goal hole. He messed up one and then he fumbled the other one. It's a quick way to lose your job when the punter's the holder. So let's see. We brought back Xavier Valade. We call him Scrabble.
His name.
Xavian Valladay. Do that on triple word score, you win the game. Period.
It's password right there.
Yes. Taki Taimani, which was sort of a surprise. He made a surprise cut. He's back on the practice squad. Dante Fleming, the wide receiver that didn't do what wide receivers are supposed to do and dropped the beautiful ball. Gabriel Murphy, edge rusher, which I expected to be signed off of waivers, made it back. He's got short arms, and he's not as good at special teams as some of the guys they kept. But, boy, is he good at playing edge. That's just it. Samaya Vaughn, our corner, and that looks to be about it so far. Peters let me know. No, they didn't. They took an international player that is a tackle. Interesting. Cool. We're going to regret it, Peter. I'm sure we are. One way or the other. Now, what have you guys got coming up this week? Okay? What are you guys talking about over at the frustrated, disgruntled, pissed off Chicago sports fan channel?
Over at the FCSF, Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel, available on YouTube and anywhere else you get your podcast, we have our off-season review episode dropping today everywhere you get podcasts, and some video will be also available on that on YouTube. Elsewhere on the channel, we will have our recap for the Chicago Cubs versus the San Francisco Giants. That series shall be coming Friday. That video will be posted Friday, as well as some more thoughts on Candace Parker getting her jersey retired by the Chicago Sky. All good things at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Check us out. If you like good sports content with a bend towards Chicago, you definitely want to check out that. Just follow us, as I said, anywhere that you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, all the rest. And as I said, also everything is available on YouTube.
And you got a good crew. So I highly encourage, if you want to get into scouting the enemy, check his channel out. And I'm sure we'll get together probably sometime next week to talk a ball game. Foster,
Can't wait.
where can they find you and your good works? I see you're wearing all Detroit Tigers gear. Why is that?
Oh, because we are just one of the better teams in the major leagues, even though we have fallen 0-2 to the Oakland A's, or no, not Sacramento/Vegas A's. But, not to fret. We got a 9.5 game lead. But yeah, if you want to check us out as far as our coverage, well, our coverage for the Lions, of course, but also with the Detroit Tigers, you can catch us at Bleachers to Speakers. You can subscribe there. We host this show every third week. But yeah, me and Coach will be back on Sunday doing a live recap of the Detroit Tigers week that was, and me and June will definitely have a show coming up breaking down a 53-man roster. He will likely cuss out Brad Holmes for not signing Zadarius Smith or any edge rusher of his liking, but it'll be fun to watch.
One of my viewers asked, how are the new coordinators doing? Do you expect some regression?
No, I don't expect any regression. I think that if anything, the starters may be a little rusty due to not getting any playing time during the preseason like last year. But no, as far as the defense is concerned, Kelvin Shepard it's been raving reviews, between the both of them, and John Morton, he is ready to continue the success of big plays and all the bells and whistles that Ben Johnson had going on. So no expectations for regression, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Okay.
Got the Packers first game, so that's.
And if Johnny Morton fails, he can always go back to the Salt Kingdom he's built.
Hey, that is a fine organization.
All right. Now for our Packers representative. Where can we get their information? That's because we don't have one. They're too chicken. That's right.
Cheesy.
I'm calling you out. Future podcasters for Green Bay on Fans First Sports Network. Where are you? We put out the Help Wanted sign for 2 years now.
Yeah, just them. That's weird.
You can't get up enough cheese in your system, or at least beer in your system, to put a microphone in front of your face and talk Packers. We'd welcome you here. We wouldn't pick on you too badly.
Being backed up on cheese is crazy.
That's what the beer's for. Loosen it up. Anyways, everybody that's listening right now knows where you can find me, Dave, at Vikings First and SKOL. You're here already. And what we have coming up is Tyler will be on the Real Forno show tomorrow night, but not at the regular time. It'll be 8:05 instead, because he's got to take his wife to the airport. And if anything breaks between now and then that's earth-shattering, say we make a trade for a big-name corner, we'll go live again. But until then, catch us on Thursday night for the Real Forno show, and then Sunday, Two Old Bloggers, with hopefully Darren shows up this time. And we'll see. All right, gentlemen, What do we say in Chicago?
Thoughts and prayers to everyone affected by that Annunciation situation up there in Minneapolis. Hope everyone gets around that. But what we say in Chicago is bear down.
Okay. Foster? What do you say in Detroit?
Roar.
Roar. Of course, in Minnesota, we say SKOL Vikings. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a frustrated Chicago sports fans, Bleachers to Speakers, Vikings First and SKOL, and of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.